But first, we have kind of a big thing to talk about. It doesn't happen often when I get to like talk about some mainstream shit, but now we get to talk about some mainstream shit that we're kind of on, you know, we're kind of on the precipice of. We kind of usually talk about this stuff, and now other people are talking about this stuff for all the right reasons, of course. What I'm talking about is a clip surfaced from Jim Cummings' podcast. If you don't know, Jim Cummings plays Tigger in Winnie the Pooh, among many, many other things. And he had Austin St. John, the original Red Ranger from Mighty Morphin, on his podcast. And Austin St. John was going over his like upcoming works, the projects he's working on. One of those things is a clothing line, not unlike, look, Toku and Chill merch, that clothing line, tokutrash.tv if you want some of that. But he's working on a clothing line, and I'm just gonna let him explain it because he could probably do it far better than I ever could. Guys, why do I go to Twitter for any videos? There we go.
And clothes. And then I'm building a warrior line where I will go back in history, you know, from pre-Greek days, as far back as I can. I'm going to have famous quotes from warriors of all ilks, including the terrible ones. Wow. Hitler was, you know, a demon on steroids, but he had some pretty good one-liners.
What are we doing?
You know, so everybody from the great ones to the infamous and terrible ones. And I'm going to have quotes in their languages put up in Japanese, English, Russian, Greek, whatever it was. Wow. And then in English, and I'm going to have some kanji kana done and some various other artwork. But the point is to look to our past, to leaders.
Did you hear it? Did you hear it? He said kanji kana. Who says kanji kana? That's not the right phrasing. That's crazy. Why would you even say that? Kanji kana. It's katakana and kanji. Those are the two, like, it's insane. It's insane what people really. He also said he's going to put Hitler quotes on his t-shirts. I'm gonna have a very nuanced take. I feel like you've all kind of seen a certain side of this story. I'm gonna have a very nuanced take here. I need you to buckle up and be ready for it. And I have a very serious conversation about this. Just looking in my eyes. That's fucking bad. Don't do that. Like, oh my God. Let's rewind back a little bit. Because it's one thing to like put Hitler quotes on your merch. That is a terrible, terrible thing. Let me just roll it back to like the PR study that is public relations, not Power Rangers. The PR study that is when you're selling the idea of this merch on a podcast or to anyone, the first thing you say is Hitler. Like that was your go-to. You didn't tell us anyone else that was gonna be on the shirts. His first go-to seller was the worst man in history is going, like, we're going to be selling quotes of the worst man in history. That is crazy. That's insane. I wasn't the only one who thought it was insane. The whole world thought it was insane. So much so that like he's catching flack from his co-stars. Amy Jo Johnson being the main one, she's throwing shade at him publicly on Twitter. And it's been picked up by Entertainment Weekly. I've seen it on Kotaku, I've seen it on Gizmodo. Entertainment Weekly has an article. Power Rangers alum Amy Jo Johnson shades Rogue Red Ranger Austin St. John for selling t-shirts with Hitler quotes. We haven't been trending in months. Power Rangers didn't even trend when Cosmic Fury came out. Power Rangers is trending this week because of this. That's crazy. So, yeah, it's bad. It's bad. There's no hot take about it. There's no like other take other than like, hey, putting quotes of a, you know, shit genocidal dictator who's also just the biggest fucking like coward in the world, putting those on a shirt is a bad idea. Like that's actively selling his propaganda. And like seeing someone wearing that, you're not just like, hey, sick Hitler shirt. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, that dude might be a Nazi. That's just, if I see someone wearing a shirt and under it says like Adolf Hitler, I'm like, that's a Nazi shirt. That dude might be a Nazi. I like it. Put it on a shirt. Like, how do you even discover, like, do you think he read all these things and then was like, I want that quote, I want that quote? Or do you think he has people going to him being like, here's a good quote. Here's a good quote. Look, guys, if you want some wholesome shirts and stuff, or some wholesome merch, I just wanted to bring up real quick. This was posted the next day. This is a collab between Toei, Kamen Rider, and Graffin. It looks like it's got a bunch of cool Rider shirts going on here. As you can see, a bunch of like, you know, there's Onk in the corner, there's Shocker, there's a cool Rider flip kick, and then there's if I had 2 nickels. That's wrong. That's not how the joke goes. If I had a nickel for every time a Tokusatsu related thing released a Nazi symbolistic shirt this week, I would have 2 nickels. Like, that's insane. This is crazy. It's so crazy. Oh, don't forget the shirt that shows villains. There is, yeah, the villain shirt is, I didn't look too much into it, but I saw it and I was like, it's bad, but it's probably not as bad as the hat. Here's the villain shirt. It's got like the great leader on it and everything. And I could see, oh, they're doing the salute there too. They're just, yep. The shirt also has the salute. So if you like, it's weird that it happened twice in the same week. It's weird that it happened one day after another. That both times in this space, merch was released that reference the Nazis. Like, that's crazy. I understand that Shocker is like, is basically that. I understand that Shocker is basically like a stand-in for Nazis. But man, I don't want to wear a hat with them doing the salute. It's great. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of cool shirts here. The friggin' Rider flip kick, the fucking Onk hand, super sick. The slides are clean. DGP, even the Gotchard shirt. Look at the Gotchard shirt on this. Like, the Gotchard shirt is absolute fire. I'm like, oh, sick as hell. But this is just, it's crazy. New fashion style canceled. New fashion style, you wear something and I immediately know you're a Nazi. Like, I feel like someone's gonna double up the Austin St. John shirt with this hat at Power Morphicon. There's just some asshole out there that's gonna do it. So yeah, that's the big thing I wanted to talk about at the top. There's just no reason for that. Stop putting Nazis on merch. And like, I get the Shocker thing. I get the Shocker thing. But like, man, you don't have to have the Shocker people doing Nazi things. You know what I'm saying? Hey, it's Future Hawk here. I just wanted to give an update to this whole idiocy to say. We now have a reply from Austin St. John, or at least kind of from Austin St. John. It's said to be directly from Austin St. John. After days of just completely taunting people about the situation, we had this response, and this comes from Chris Holmes over on Twitter. It says, so I got this reply from David Blair at Fanword. This is what ASJ had to say. Sorry to bring my autism into it, but I barely understood a word of that explanation. Fine to be a student of the subject, but I still don't get why he needs to turn it into a fashion parade. And the actual reply is, hi, Chris. and thank you for taking the time to be so thoughtful to send in your concerns. In regards to your email, Austin is aware of what is happening online. He asked me to respond with this to anyone who emails with thoughts or concerns that is part of Fanword. Hope this answers your question. As Fanword isn't involved in the merch line, our job is to listen to your wonderful fans and members, relay any concerns to Austin, and relay back to you. Hope this sheds light that you are looking for, and again, I appreciate your email. May the power protect you, David Blair. For anyone that doesn't know what Fanword is, it's kind of this network of celebrities. Austin is mainly featured on their YouTube channel, a lot with Walter Jones, the Mighty Morphin Black Ranger, the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Black Ranger. And here is Austin's response. It says, as a student in the domain of historical leadership dynamics, my academic pursuits encompass a comprehensive exploration of the multifaceted nature of leadership through the ages, celebrating the virtuous and the valorous, whilst critically analyzing the malevolent and the monstrous. My studies are dedicated to dissecting the dichotomies of leadership from those visionaries who have catalyzed positive societal transformations to despots whose legacies serve as cautionary tales, embodying the antithesis of ethical governance. My rigorous investigation extends to the rhetoric of history's most influential figures, examining both the profound and uplifting discourses that have united civilizations under the common noble pursuits and the devastating, often unfathomable proclamations that have led to the oppression and tyranny. My objective is to cultivate a nuanced understanding of historical leadership, recognizing that to truly appreciate the spectrum of its impact, one must engage with both its brightest and darkest manifestations with equal rigor. The essence of my research lies in the belief that history is a repository of wisdom, offering invaluable lessons through the successes and failures of its leaders, and is my ambition to delve into its rich tapestry, embracing the full complexity of human leadership across epochs. The conceptual inception of this t-shirt line, adorned with quotations, represents the embryonic stage of an endeavor I envisage to cultivate over the forthcoming years. This initiative is rooted in the desire to materialize a tangible connection between the wearable art form and the potent, distilled wisdom encapsulated in quotes. Through the meticulous curation and production of these garments, I aim to initiate a dialogue within the public sphere, wherein each piece serves as a catalyst for reflection and discourse. This endeavor is not merely about the aesthetic presentation of words on fabric, but is an exploration into the ways in which the potency of language can transcend traditional mediums to engage with a broader audience in everyday context. The genesis of this idea is therefore both a creative and scholarly pursuit seeking to bridge the gap between intellectual contemplation and accessible public expression over the extended temporal horizon of the next several years. Austin, all you had to do was say you're not going to put a Hitler quote on the shirt, and you not double down, you triple down on like, oh, I need to fully understand these complex and embrace these complex ideas. You don't need to embrace the complex ideas of Hitler. In fact, one would probably argue that throughout history, there's a lot of leaders who are like, not all good and not all bad. They're like fall on both sides, or they've done bad things, but they've done good things. There's like complex leaders that have quotes you can use for this. Hitler is not a complex leader. He was one, when you started this, you called him a warrior, but he's also just not a complex leader. He's evil, down to the root and core evil. And you want people walking around in shirts with Nazi propaganda on it, because that's what it is. Everything Hitler said was Nazi propaganda. That's how he rose to power, through his speeches, through his Nazi propaganda. And you just want to make that wearable. Like, who do you think your audience for this is going to be? Who do you think you're selling to? Because the answer is Nazis, which is insane. That's insane to me. That was a bunch of words. Like, I've never seen someone say so much, or say talk so much and say so little. It's insane. So, yeah, there's the update for this story. There's his response. He's seemingly not backing down of selling merch of Hitler, is the simplest way to put it. He wants to get rich off of selling merch of Hitler. It's so crazy.